When I see what they sub, when I see what they want to, when I just watch the video. Share the video as they watch and make it share. Hey! Yes. Oi.
Finally, President Bola Tinubu has washed his hand. Okwalaka Portus pilot where can I have Soludo and his removal of sit at home. You see, among this man here, among the kind of professor or Grago. Well, before we continue, because I share bottle, also send this message to your friends and well wishers. Also send this message to all your social media platforms. Most times you might be doing the right thing at the wrong time, and another thing is your approach of doing something or another issue. You might be doing something that is constitutionally right, but the approach that you are doing it is very, very wrong. You know, in my previous video, I said what Soludo is trying to do is to put salt on a wound. Before I say such, I have already calculated it, more that there is possibility that he's adding more salt in the injury, which is what is going to happen. Now the IPOB Aflana say Monday sit at home must hold. Then what does that mean to you? It means that there must be heavy insecurity in Anambra state and every part of the Igbo land, which means all those parts of Igbo land which have been relieved from the lockdowns, places like Imo State, Ebonyi State, Enugu State, and a place like Abia State, they have been relieved a little bit. Then you see that even Anambra State have also relieved a little bit. But if we go now with this lockdown now, how are now being imposed? When your plan is in there, how much security are you going to provide for these people that made you to have the F-130 to say, and taking it by force, not like it was a form of dialogue. I mean, it is a form of dialogue. Then everybody will understand. Then who your reasons for reason? All of us are human beings. But now you made it force, and now these people now. I pop now say okay, I'm running there chicken over. All you have to remember now before people now will lost their life, and at the end of the day, they say sit at home, it really impose black dakwa. Now people now go back to the men sit at home from how it started from the origin, which is very, very bad. Which is very, very bad because I'm here not benefiting a government Tinubu on like in a go somewhere since so we need this in second time all the time. Or the man now just lying, they go somewhere trying to showcase himself so that the public will see him. Nobody's against your own public validation. Do whatever that you want, but don't go beyond what you should do, trying to prove a point. Well, on Metro Makana Shaboto, those Ranimozia in all your social media platforms.
Intellectual revolt against executive power in Anambra State. The Forum of Southeast Academic Doctors, or FOSAD, is taking on Governor Chukwuma Soludo, accusing him of executive rascality over his decision to shut down the Onitsha main market for 1 week, one of the largest commercial hubs in West Africa, because traders failed to open on Mondays amid the sit-at-home crisis. FOSAD says this is not governance but collective punishment, that the state is asking citizens to risk their lives in an environment of fear and insecurity and then punishing them for choosing survival. They argue that you cannot compel economic activity at gunpoint, you cannot decree confidence where violence still lingers, and you cannot confuse raw authority with democratic legitimacy. FOSAD insists that the sit-at-home crisis is not a market discipline problem, but a deep security and political failure, one that cannot be solved by shutting shops, deploying force, or issuing ultimatums that deepen resentment and economic pain. Well, for on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Dr. Uzo Ngoladi, who is Secretary General of the Forum of Southeast Academic Doctors, or FOSAD, one of the strongest institutional critics of the governor's decision. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you called the market closure executive rascality. What specific legal or constitutional line did Governor Soludo cross?
Oh, thank you very much for that question. Executive rascality refers to unethical behavior, especially by people in positions of authority, and is also about abuse of authority. Now you ask the question, what is the constitutional breach? When you are trampling on the rights of innocent citizens, of our brothers and sisters who are traders in the main market, is an infringement on their fundamental human rights. If they choose, they can stay home. If they choose, they can come out for their business, especially when their life is at stake. You know, this is a normal human instinct. Safety first, safety and security. You have to earn the confidence of the people. You have to earn their trust. They have to be sure. I mean, I won't see a place where there is a potential crisis and I want to go there. But if my goods are destroyed or lives are lost, who is going to compensate me?
That's a good point. But if the law,
yes,
and you also teach criminology, so you've got a good sense of the law.
Yes.
If the law allows temporary closures for public order, which the law allows, where exactly does legality end and abuse begin in this case?
There is no disorder. There was relative peace in Anambra State, at least as of last week. The traders did not show up on Monday because of the regular sit at home. Why don't you find an alternative means? I suggest non-kinetic approach. You don't use this approach of force.
Yeah, but the governor had essentially said that things had returned to normal.
Okay.
That there was no longer any need for a sit at home. He's the executive authority.
Okay.
He's the chief security officer. And he's declared that there is no longer any need for a Monday sit at home. I mean, you also argued that this is collective punishment.
Oh, sure.
It is the responsibility of the government to restore normal economic life. And you're saying that you would have done it differently.
Yes, because first of all, the first responsibility of any responsible government is security of lives and property.
Indeed.
Yes, and when you declare that the situation has returned to normalcy, you have to also allow the people to feel it. It is the people that you're leading that would, that would come out confidently to say that, look, we are safe and we can come out. Especially...
Yeah, but if they don't turn up on Mondays, how are they going to know that they're safe?
Well, if you go on the social media, you will realize that a lot of traders are speaking up. You know, at Fossard, we are the voice of the voiceless. We speak up for the masses. Majority of the traders say that most times they come to market on Mondays. Markets open on Monday, but they don't have people who are coming to buy because of that air of insecurity. There's fear in the air that, look, if we come out, something will happen to us. The transporters are not even working.
Yeah, but can I ask you this?
Yes.
Can fear be allowed to veto state authority indefinitely? That's the question here. At what point does accommodation become capitulation to violent state actors? I mean, the governor has to at some point say this has got to end.
Yes. If you want it to end, you should use non-kinetic approach. First of all, you must bring the stakeholders together. This is a gradual process. It's not something that you use force and you come out and shout orders. Don't come to market. If you don't show up, if you don't open your businesses, we are going to shut it down. We are going to pull it down. No, you don't threaten people. The first question I want to ask, rhetorical question. Few months ago, will Soludo give such an order while he was campaigning for his second term?
Well, I have no idea. As you said, it's a rhetorical question.
Of course, I know he will not. He will not, because if he does that, he might lose the election. If he threatens the traders in Onitsha main market that was established since 1506 by our forefathers. And another question I also asked is, did you consult the Obi of Onitsha, the revered monarch, Igwe Nemeka Achebe? the first-class traditional ruler across the Niger. Did you consult him?
Presumably your contention is that he didn't.
No, he didn't, because we have investigated. We have our members in Anambra State. You know, we have members in all the 5 states of Anambra State and in the diaspora. You know, so he did not. You should consult the traditional rulers. You know, this amounts to disrespect and disregard for the revered traditional ruler. And by extension, the people of Anambra State. Nobody is in support of sit at home. Personally, I'm not in support of it. Soludo by himself gave a figure to the losses that we incur every Monday. And he put the figure at 8 billion. Now, multiply 8 billion.
By 1 week.
By 1 week. That will give you 56 billion naira.
Yeah.
And again, you are also endangering the lives of the people. Look at yesterday. There was gunshots in the air. They were shooting canisters. They were tear gassing people. And most of these young people who are in their productive age, this is their only means of livelihood. There are daily income earners in that Onitsha main market. There are people who have perishable goods. There are people who took loans. Why don't you just engage the people? Engage the people and don't take this cocky stance.
You may well have a point there, but there are people, I mean, you frame those traders as essentially victims.
Yes.
But aren't there some traders who comply with that sit-at-home order out of sympathy or out of politics? In those circumstances, how should the government separate fear from political protest?
Oh, first of all, you saw when he came to the market with a retinue of security personnel. Why don't you bring those security personnel every Monday and let the people appeal to the people? Make use of the media, both the traditional and social media. I've not seen any jingles on air talking about, please come out on Mondays. Anambra is safe now. You know, those kind of campaigns that they engaged when he wanted his second term. Why don't you go to the markets? And you can also incentivize the people. You know, give them incentives. You can say something like, you can do something like, maybe the first 500 people to open their shops on Monday, they will get that 5 kg bag of rice. You know, I'm giving them consultancy free of charge. You know, when you do that, you will see that gradually.
That's a good consultancy,
yes,
actually.
people will start coming out. Maybe this Monday, you see a few people, they will come to see.
Right.
And they will notice that all those armored vehicles are there, you know, positioned strategically as security measures. You will see people, they'll start coming. The next Monday, the number will increase. This is a gradual process.
But let me ask you this, okay? I mean, because, as you said, closing Onitsha main market for a week may admittedly inflict economic pain.
Yes.
You know, maybe greater than the Monday sort of sit-at-home economic pain. But do you agree that it might also deter sort of armed enforcers by showing that the state will not be paralyzed? Is there no deterrence value there as far as you can see?
Well, the non-state actors are there in the southeast. We can't deny that. They've been operating, there has been kidnapping, there has been banditry, and which is also an indictment on the government, because it's their responsibility to protect the people. But what we are saying at FOSAD is that this approach is very wrong. We are not supporting non-state actors, but now your approach now is worse than that of non-state actors.
Well, how does the governor earn legitimacy as the chief security officer of the state under what I might call active coercion by armed groups? In other words, if a governor cannot compel markets to open, what stops any armed group from dictating policy by fear? I mean, isn't that a slippery slope here?
It's a very sensitive issue, you know, and that is why we are calling on the governor to revisit this is a directive of closing the markets. And he even threatened that, you know, if he comes back on next Monday and the shops are not open, that he will also extend it again by another 1 week. You know, your question is valid. You know, we don't expect a governor who is the executive, who is the chief security officer of the state, to fold his arms and watch non-state actors take over. You know, that's where you need to consult with all the stakeholders. The traditional rulers are there. the market women are there. You come out and appeal to them. You don't use force. I keep stressing that point.
But
look, this approach is very wrong.
Wasn't there consultation over a period? I mean, it may not have happened immediately now, but
Yes.
over a period of time about how best to deal with this situation, which is why they've, if you like, graduated to this point where the governor feels reasonably confident that security has been restored. I mean, let me put it this way, because if the closure worsens hardship, you blame the governor.
Oh, sure.
If he does nothing and commerce collapses, do you still blame him?
Well, commerce have not collapsed. The Anambra people, the traders in the southeast, and even the workers, all of them are used to that abnormal sit at home every Monday. They have adjusted, but that does not mean that the sit at home should continue. That is why the governor should find an alternative means. You know, you cannot just come out and, you know, propaganda does not equal leadership and say that the state is safe. You know, if the state is now safe, why are the members of their families are out of the country? Majority of them are in London, in the United States, in Canada. Their children and their family members are not residing in Anambra State or even in Nigeria. You know, so if you say that the state is now safe and you have solved the insecurity problem, we should expect that you start by your families. There are also traders in Sofia, his hometown. Why don't you just, you know, sit with them and also, you know, convince them to start coming out every Monday at the markets, you know, test them. I've also given an opinion here, a suggestion that you can also use incentives. Okay, the first 500 people, the first 100 people, you get a bag of 5 kg rice. It doesn't cost anything. We see them sharing that during campaigns and all whatnot. So our problem is with the approach that he's using. And you have seen what it has caused within these 2-3 days. We have seen the protests. We have seen that it has rendered young people idle. And do you want them to go into crime?